Welcome back to the channel, guys. Today we're going to be checking out our top 10 OP protagonists. OP protagonists in this context are based on people with a certain amount of strength or power. This is not information-based advantages, so these are all based on magical skills type things. I don't want stories where I know where this guy is going to be and that's why I'm strong, so I wanted to mix things up a little bit. I'll maybe make a list for those in the future about those regressor stories, and that's specifically why they're strong, even though there is one on this list, technically speaking. Please like and subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate you guys so much, and let's jump right into the list. At number 10 is Overgeared. Overgeared follows our main protagonist that comes into contact with a mythic class, and he becomes overpowered as hell. No other player in the game pretty much no other player in the game at this moment even comes to his knees in strength. He's so powerful, and yet his class technically isn't even a combat class. It's a class based around building equipment. It's a really great story. It has amazing art style, and the main character is kind of ridiculous. He's an idiot, but at the same time, he's kind of developing his own personality type, which I find is really interesting. If you're not checking Overgeared out already, you definitely should be, because the art style alone is worth it, but the action, the storyline, everything is really on point in this series. At number 9 is A Returner's Magic Should Be Special. Right away, it sounds like I'm breaking the rules of this story about a returner, but technically the reason Désir Armand is so powerful is because of his ability and knowledge of his spells and how to use them correctly. So rather than it being about knowing where people are, the reason he's really strong is simply because he knows how to use his skills to the maximum of their capabilities, and he does so to great effect. The amazing thing about this series is it's not like he's the most powerful mage out there, but because of his knowledge how to use his lower level skills, he's able to achieve amazing things, despite him doing a spell that is basically the most powerful spell in the entire world. But whatever. It's a great story. I think it's one of the best ensemble casts out there in manhwa right now, and you have a lot of fun watching these characters fight against incoming invasions and trying to make sure his friends survive this time, because in his past life, they didn't. At number 8 is Return of the Crazy Demon. Yes, it's a return story, but the main character is just OP as hell. He's strong, he's a martial artist. Again, the only thing knowledge-based in this series is the fact that he knows what's going to happen, but that's not why he's OP. He just sets up fights because of that. But he basically has owned and destroyed every person he's come into contact, and it hasn't even been close. And that's part of the comedy of this series. It's so fun to watch him just wipe the floor with his opponents continuously, and the fights are getting cooler and cooler every time they happen. The art style is really on point for this one, and it can be extraordinarily brutal. He has a very unique sense of humor, which makes him do some not so cool things to some people. At number 7 is The Breaker. Yes, it looks like a manga. It's not a manga, it's a manhwa anyway, because it was made in Korea. The main character of The Breaker, the first series of The Breaker, and that's why I say it's finished at the bottom, The Breaker is an insanely powerful martial artist who is stronger than anyone else. He's the 9 Arts Dragon, and he is epically strong. Just beats and wipes the floor with everyone, to the point that he's created fear among the martial arts community. And the story of this one, The Maker and The Breaker New Waves are my favorite manhwa of all time. So this is on the list simply because his OP-ness is not that crazy. He's still a martial artist. There's still some challenges along the way in the storyline, but he is definitely an OP protagonist compared to everyone else you encounter in every one-on-one battle. That is for sure. At number 6 is Return of the Max Level Hero. I have a love-hate relationship with this one. I think it's still a good manhwa. It's definitely worth reading, but this is an example of a character that's good at everything. Unlike just a powerful character that still needs help for other things, like let's say resurrection, healing, maybe science or something, he's just good at absolutely everything because of the premise of the story. Premise of the story is he was put in a coma by one of his siblings, thought to never wake up from his coma, and he ends up on the peak, the line between life and death, being trained by the most powerful characters in all of history. I think they're mythological characters. I'm thinking one of them looks a lot like Hercules, and one looks a little bit like Athena and stuff like that, but they all have these different specialties in strength, in healing, in chemistry. So he just comes back as this insanely overpowered character that basically wipes the floor with everyone he meets and resolves every situation with ease. which would normally be really not interesting, but I'm still reading this one, which means I'm still finding enjoyment in the story. The art style is alright. I don't think it's the peak of everything out there, but it is still an enjoyable one so far. So if you aren't reading this one, definitely be checking it out. At number 5 is Great Mage Returns. Lucas Troman is OP as hell. He's the Great Mage, one of the ancient, well, he lived 4,000 years ago and was the pinnacle of mages at that time. And when he is reborn or awakens 4,000 years later, he's reborn into a world that really hasn't attained his level of strength at all. Yes, he is fighting against enemies that are stronger than him, and a lot of the things in the story do have some enemies that are as strong as them. But in the world with people by his side, no one holds a candle to his strength as it currently stands, and he is just so strong. And his knowledge of magic and the world's magic is just something that is really engaging to look at and a lot of fun as you watch the series. It's gone through one of its best arcs recently, and it's finding its stride as being one of the best manhwa out there right now. At number 4 is Limit Breaker. If you want an OP protagonist, Limit Breaker kind of puts that into another realm. The main character gets stuck in a tutorial as the world turns into a game and monsters invade, you know, those type of scenarios. But the tutorial is glitched, and he can't get out. So he keeps fighting the monster and becoming stronger and stronger and stronger and stronger. And this monster is not made to be defeated. You're just supposed to land a hit on him and win the tutorial. But he becomes so strong that he just destroys the monster. And he breaks out of the world just through sheer power. He wipes the floor with everything. No peer, no other person is like him in the world. And he is so very strong. If you aren't reading Limit Breaker, it is so good. If you love that Gojo, like blonde, like crazy cool style that he has, Limit Breaker has this awesome style that looks very similar to that, and his OP-ness is definitely cool. At number 3 is Solo Leveling, I have to say, and this is one of my biggest sadnesses because the story did not start like that. Sung Jin-woo was not that OP when he started the story, but there was a point at which, as soon as the monarchs were introduced, Sung Jin-woo just wiped the floor with everyone with ease, and would struggle only a tiny bit for a short period of time before just devastating everyone with his army of summons as well as his amazing close combat skills. Yes, he faced some challenges against him, but the reason he's in this OP category is because no one in the world even comes close to his power level. He's so much stronger than everyone else that for me, that's one of my things that frustrates me about the story. There's a bunch of really interesting characters, or could have been interesting, but because of the power scaling of this series, it's just ridiculous. The reason Dragon Ball was so effective was because, well, Vegeta would always be trying to follow Goku's, like, pathway to become stronger, and there were other Saiyans also trying to become stronger. And in that, there was this rivalry kind of dynamic, and others, like, around the same power scaling. But in this universe, there's no such thing. Sung Jin-woo is just leaps and bounds ahead of everyone and just wiping the floor. That being said, it's art, it's fights, everything is phenomenal, but that is. At number 2 is Noblesse. Noblesse is a vampire story, basically, about the Noblesse, a special, I'll say a race of people, a race of characters that govern over blood. And the power of our main character is ridiculous. He basically exists as this neutral figure to lord over the vampire race as more of a, how could I say, protector of the race rather than a governor of the race. So there's a vampire lord, but he's there to basically make sure things are there, and he's lived for thousands of years, at least hundreds of years. I don't remember if it's thousands or hundreds. And his level of strength in the series, as you read it, is nuts. There was an anime released 2 years ago, I believe, on Crunchyroll. Developed by Crunchyroll, that was pretty good about this. If you want the really cool one, check out the one where you see the fight between him and the werewolf guy. It's insane. His power level of Katniss Estrama de Raziel is ridiculous. His blood control is amazing. And this series is finished with a lot of chapters, so if you want to check it out, go for it. At number 1 is I Am the Sorcerer King. I have to put this as number 1 OP main character in manhwa right now, at least the ones I'm thinking about, because his power scaling is ridiculous. He's this amazing mage from another universe that transferred over to ours, and in trying to discover magic while also having a leveling system, he finds a way to fuse magic with our technology. So he's using nuclear weapons mixed with magic and creating these ridiculous level skills. like devastating these creatures the size of planets, and like it gets crazy. It gets really ridiculously crazy. The story is pretty solid. The art style has its own unique vibe. You'll really get into it if you start reading it. It looks a little weird when you look at it up front, but like it's a really, really interesting series. As it stands, it would appear that it is finished. It ends on kind of an anticlimactic note. It still has an ending, if you will, but it may get a continuance eventually. But since there is no announcement of that, for now, I'm announcing it as finished, and it is my number one. And that's it, guys. Thank you so much for watching today. If you like this type of content, please like and subscribe to the channel. And after all, if you want me to do something specific, please do leave a comment down below with that specific request. Have a great day.